Hey YouTube, it's Otto from Colorado, the Jeep DIY guy again. Today I just wanted to show you something simple, and that is an oil change. I know it's a 2000 TJ, I know it's really simple, but some people want to know. Let's start with the TJ. I always like light, it really helps know what to do. And what I'm looking for is that dipstick right there. You can see I've already removed the oil cap, and there's a reason for that. I'll show you that in a moment. So how do you know when to change your oil? Me, I'm going to pull this oil dipstick out and take a close look at the oil itself. That looks pretty dark, and it kind of smells burnt when you really take a good whiff of it. I'm going to put that right back in place and show you this oil cap that I took off. Because here's another way, knowing I can take my finger, run it across the bottom of the oil cap, and take a look. I can also take a whiff of that guy and know that, So today I'm going to change the oil. The oil plug itself is underneath the engine. As you can imagine, it catches all the oil. This guy right here, we'll call it the passenger side of the Jeep. This guy right here is the oil filter. It's quite large for this engine. It's a quite large capacity engine. It holds 6 quarts, so you're going to have to know that in advance. And if you forget, go ahead and take a look in your owner's manual. All that information is there. I'm underneath my Jeep TJ. Now, for now, let's concentrate on the oil pan. I've got this nice 16 quart oil pan because, well, when you're draining 6 quarts of oil, it's nice to have a big pan to drain it in. There, you'll see the oil pan itself with the plug sitting on the right hand side. You'll need a 9/16 socket, prepare to unscrew that bad boy, and remember, if you don't have a pan like this that has a special plug to catch it, this oil plug could fall into the pan. Once you unscrew that, all the oil will drain into this pan. You'll put the plug back in and we'll fill the... Now if you're wondering if those 10-minute oil change jobs are just, there's no way in the world you can change oil in 10 minutes, well actually it is. Take your cap off, that allows an air hole out the top for your engine to drain the oil faster. It's a simple law of physics. Put the oil cap aside, let the engine oil drain out once you've removed that plug. It doesn't really take more than 5 minutes. Once the oil has drained mostly all the way out and you're down to a little trickle in the oil pan, that's when we're going to address this oil filter. If you don't have a lift, you're probably going to have to get jacks and jack stands to secure your Jeep in place. I've got chocks in the back wheels for safety. So let's commence. This is a 9/16 socket, already got it set. I was the last one to do this oil change, so I know that this guy hasn't been over tightened. But sometimes you'll come to a fact where this guy has been over tightened. And when it is over tightened, well, it's really kind of difficult. This is my giant oil pan. You'll see I don't have to worry about this bolt. I could let it drop. I'll try to control it a little bit and put it in the top of the pan. That's pretty dark oil there, even darker than it looks in the dipstick. You can tell that's not a very clear stream. So if yours looks like that, it's probably time to change. So once your oil is slowed down to a drip like that, there's really not a lot left to wait for. You see it's just been dripping slowly. See how dark that oil is. And the pan, that's mostly full. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this back up and move to the top. As you can see, I've replaced the screw. Now there are torque specifications in your owner's manual if you're interested in getting it just right. As I've said before, that's a fairly large filter. However, you can find filter wrenches in your local hardware store, your local auto parts store, to fit the end cap of this. If you don't have a filter wrench, you have the belt filter wrenches that are also available. So what I've done is I've loosened it up with both hands. I only need a hand tightening job for this. I don't need the cap itself. I'm going to try to prevent as much oil from spilling as much as possible. However, you can see the blue below it. I've put a paper towel there to catch it from hitting the exhaust. I don't really like that smoke smell when the oil hits the exhaust. And you'll see it's very difficult to keep oil from falling down once you take this guy out. Yep, definitely the blue glove has caught some oil. Now this oil filter that I took out is full of oil, but luckily that's what this pan is for. This is the same oil pan that has caught the oil from before and you can see there's quite a bit of oil left in that container. I'm just going to let that drain for a few minutes. Put that to the side. And this pan, because this is a 16-quart oil pan, has plenty of room to hold more oil before I empty it out. But what I like to do is take my new oil to the auto parts store, fill my Jeep up with this, and then put the old oil in here and take it back where I can dump for free. Why 5W30? Well, I told you I'd talk about that. In the winter environment, the viscosity needs to be 530. Follow your recommendations from your manufacturer's owner's manual is the best advice you could ever get. Now, I've got my oil filter ready to install. The funnel's ready for installation as well, for the installation of the oil as well. What I'm going to do is going to take a little bit of this nice clear oil. I'm going to put a little thin coat on the rubber seal just to help that seal better when I go to install the filter here. When you're installing your oil filter, notice it needs to line up just so, and very delicately put it on. Let it spin into place. It starts to get tight. And for me, I know that that's the tightness that I want. Always double check after you've installed the oil that none of the leaking is occurring around this seal or your oil plug at the bottom of your engine. Now, let's go ahead and fill it up with the 6 quarts of oil and start the engine. You can see the difference in the oil that's being poured into the engine from the very dark black oil that was coming out of the engine. This is what you're looking for on your dipstick when you're pulling out. What does the oil look like, and is it time to change my engine oil? So if you guys that are wondering where I get this information from, well, there's my 2000 Jeep Wrangler owner's manual. Just inside the cover of the owner's manual, well, there's a table of contents that tell me about maintaining my vehicle on page 169. If I go to page 169, it's going to tell me about engine oil on page 174. Once I go to page 174 on engine oil, it's telling me for gasoline engines that I need 10W30 or 5W30. Look at the temperature rating in Fahrenheit. 0 degrees, 10W30 stops there for effectiveness. Well, I'm in Colorado. I need colder temperature protection. Therefore, I'm going to go with 5W30. And that's where I found what kind of oil to put in my engine. As for the synthetic versus normal oil, your engine will operate on the recommended oil from your manufacturer. The high mileage and engine oil changes, well, you can see that the frequency of oil changes is being addressed in your owner's manual. And all of these little tidbits here tell you that they apply to you, and every 3,000 or 3 months, whichever comes first. If none of these apply to you, well, that's every 7,500. Again, every 3 to 7,500, depending on all of these conditions. So take a look at your owner's manual. It might be worth it. So once your oil is done filling and you've removed the filter, you've made sure that your oil filter is very secure. Go ahead, make sure your dipstick is intact, and replace the oil cap. Then, give it a start and check for leaks. The engine should be humming along. I'm going to take a peek at your oil filter, make sure there's nothing going down below. Best way to do that though is actually go underneath the Jeep. If you go in from the passenger side, you have the view of both the oil filter and the oil plug. And you can see the oil plug itself is doing just fine. And if you look up through there, you can get glimpses of your oil filter. So there you have it. Yes, it was easy, maybe for some, but maybe somebody found it helpful. It's a standard oil change. Don't forget, the best thing to do is always follow your manufacturer's recommendations. They built the car. They know what's best for it. So look in your owner's manual. Also, make sure you dispose of your oil properly. Most of your local auto shops where you bought the oil usually, they're going to have a free return policy of used oil. So give me some likes, and hopefully we'll do some more fun stuff with the TJ soon. Thanks.